A very warm welcome to yet another Kumekucha video. Information and analysis that is very difficult to find anywhere else. I recommend that you subscribe and you hit the bell button so that you receive notifications every time I have a new video. Karibu sana and enjoy. An earlier video I did recently about how to invest an extra 1 million or so that you have kept aside caused a flurry of emails and requests where many of you asked for a similar video that people who do not have 1 million bob put aside can use. How do you invest 10,000, 20,000 that you have in your savings account? How do you do that successfully? And of course grow it. And so here I am. And to make sure I cover as many people as possible, let's put the amount very low. How to invest 100 Kenya shillings. That's $1. If you can successfully invest 100 shillings, then definitely you're not going to have a problem investing 100,000. 200,000, 300,000, and so on and so forth. Now, of course, there are many of you taking in this video who are very skeptical. Kshs, sasa umetudanganya. Get out of here. At you invest 100 bob. Doing what? Well, I understand your skepticism. Okay, so let's get started. Because you're about to find out some really earth-shattering facts. Indeed, some very amazing things. In fact, I can say, very confidently, this video will change your life forever. Of course, that is assuming you understand and implement the principles, which actually you should know, you should already know. Indeed, you have already used the principles, but it's only that you are not aware. So let's get started, okay? Now, it is ordained by God Almighty that a person who comes into this world shall be fruitful and multiply, so that by the time they leave this world, although they will live with nothing, they'll have built up, they'd have borne fruit, and they'd have multiplied tremendously. You know, my greatest fear on this channel is misleading people, telling people lies, giving people information and facts that cannot stand the test of time. So in order to avoid that, you'll excuse me, I will always go back to the manufacturer's handbook, the handbook of the Creator. And in Genesis chapter 9, it says, "And God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth." Now, this verse is very familiar to many of you, I'm very sure. And many of you are sure you understand what it means, or so you think. But I'm here to tell you you're wrong. Because I'm sure you think it means go out and give birth to 30 children, 40 children, and fill up the earth with people. Well, not exactly. Remember that these words were spoken by God Almighty after the entire earth had been destroyed by a flood. This was during Noah's time. You remember Noah's Ark? Fascinatingly, a few years ago, I read about some scientists who had found evidence of the flood, the flood during Noah's time. Anyway, this verse does not say, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth with people. Now, when a statement is general, it means everything, not just people. It means crops, it means animals, herds, cows, goats, etc., etc. Imagine for a moment if this verse meant go out and replenish the earth with human beings. What would those human beings eat? Where would they live? What would they wear? So now that we are very clear on that, let's move on. Because the manufacturer's handbook tells us very clearly that we're supposed to be fruitful and multiply. And let us keep this very simple, by sticking to practical things that we all know and have experienced. Now, any person who is in a marriage, with a family and children, will know the following. Cast your mind back to when you started life, okay, you and your husband, or you and your wife. Your house was empty. Yeah. So you started life. You bought a mattress because you need somewhere to sleep. And you bought cooking utensils. Yeah. To cut a long story short, after a few short months, your house is full. No matter how poor you are, after 2 or 3 years, you have seats. You maybe even have a TV or a radio. If you sit down to make calculations of the assets you have in your house, you'll be shocked. Now let us take very careful note of what happens in such cases, because we're going to apply it to investing 100 shillings. So this is very important. The first step, which is the most important step in my view, is that you see. You see what is not there. You don't have a bed, you don't have a TV, etc., etc. But you see these things in your mind. You see and you're sure and you believe you're going to get these things. And so what happens? You get them. Now, of course, it is best to plan. But the truth is most people don't plan. All they do is they see. And within no time, those things they have seen appear. Now, this is the law of the universe. What you see and believe you have and believe you must have, you will definitely get. Yeah, that's the law of the universe. Now, negative thoughts are more dangerous than most people think. Yeah, because what you think is what you are. When you have negative thoughts, I can't, I will never, I will not be able, that's exactly what the universe will give you. For your information, thoughts are actually things. Yeah, so be very careful what you think about. Be very careful with what you fill your mind with. If you fill your mind, for instance, with porn and sex, yeah, you will have a lot of extramarital affairs. Yeah, you'll sleep around. And time is limited. And therefore, most of your time will be occupied, yeah, when you're not sleeping around, with scheming and planning how you can get a woman into bed or a man into bed. Thoughts are dangerous, and thoughts are things. A certain community in Kenya, whom I admire very much, and whose blood flows in the veins of my son, are accused of always thinking about money, always thinking about property. And guess what? That's what they end up with. They end up with a lot of money. They end up with a lot of property. Thoughts, my brothers and sisters, are things. Be convinced of that. Anyway, let's go back to what we were saying. It is important for us to examine the reasons why most people are successful in furnishing their houses. Number one, the negative thoughts never come. Okay, why don't the negative thoughts come? Because they have no other option but to fill in the house. Yeah, they know they must do that. Also, there's the issue of peer pressure. Your neighbors have seats, your neighbors have a TV, you must have seats. You must have a bigger TV. Others have done it, and so you must do it. Yeah, because what's different with you? In fact, you're cleverer than some other people you know who have done it. They've filled the house with furniture and everything they need. Now, this is the number one problem when it comes to savings, investments, and business. Because we don't know anybody else who has done it. All we know are corrupt people, yeah, who've gotten a position in government or a position as a purchasing officer, and they've gotten involved with corrupt deals and they've made money. That's all we know. So we have no role model. We have no examples to follow. And therefore the negative thoughts definitely will find a way in our hearts and in our minds. So-and-so is smarter than me. He used to come number one in school. He has nothing. Who am I to do better than him? That's a negative thought. I will never succeed in business or investment. There's nobody else I know in our family who has succeeded. I don't know anybody. So who am I to succeed? Negative thought. So I trust that I've fully shown you how important the first step, yeah, in investing 100 shillings is. Yeah, and the first step is your mindset. Yeah, you must see. Now what some people do is they set a goal. They say in 1 year, I want to have 1 million shillings, which is not bad. However, there's a problem. Your very powerful subconscious mind, yeah, which delivers all these good things to you, this very powerful tool put in your hands by Almighty God, does not see figures. It sees images. It works with images, not figures. And that is why when you have an empty house, you don't think of, I need 100,000 shillings for this, I need 50,000 for this. No. What most people see are sofas in their sitting room. What most people see are a 24-inch TV in their sitting room. They see a nice double-decker for their children. And these things actually come into being. And sometimes people don't even buy the things in their sitting room. Yeah, they see them and they get them. Yeah, maybe somebody gives them. Or they find a broken chair thrown away somewhere and they repair it and they put it in their sitting room. Yeah, they see. Yeah, they see what they want. They don't see figures. There's another very powerful truth about seeing images, rather than figures. Images help to inspire you, so that when you're working, when you start getting tired, the image keeps you going. That is very important. I'm sure you've read very many stories of mothers who have survived terrible experiences. Maybe they were kidnapped, held somewhere. Yeah? And when they come out, they say, what kept me going was the image of my children. They didn't imagine the amount of money required for the upkeep and upbringing of their children in their absence, supposing they died. No. What they saw was the image of their children missing their mother, crying for their mother, needing their mother. And that image is what helped them keep away all negative thoughts, like negative thoughts of them dying, although they've been kidnapped. And the man kidnapping them has a gun. And there's no way for them to escape. And therefore, naturally, what would happen in this situation is you'd get a lot of negative thoughts. Oh, I'll not make it. Oh, this guy will kill me. But they throw away all that. They keep away all the negative thoughts by that single image of their children, needing them. And therefore, they start imagining being reunited with their children. And guess what? It happens. You can be sure that those who are never rescued, those mothers who end up dying, are the mothers that allowed many negative thoughts into their minds. Because what you think is what you are. What you think is what will happen. That is a powerful spiritual law. Yet another example of mothers is when the mother gets sick, and maybe the doctors say, or they think, this mother is going to die. But she miraculously survives. She miraculously gets well, recovers from the illness, and is reunited with her children. Many mothers who die actually die of a broken heart. They think a man hurt them some time back. They have never gotten over it. And that hurt, those feelings of being hurt by a man, overcome their feelings for the love for their children. So when the doctor tells them, I don't think you'll survive, they believe it and they allow the negative thoughts. And guess what? They don't survive. Anyway, let's move on. You're working in a job, you've worked for quite a number of years, you don't have any savings, you don't have any investments, and certainly you don't have any business. Or maybe you've struggled, and you've really struggled, and you've put away 20,000, 30,000, 50,000. And there's a time you invested this money and you lost all of it in a bad business deal, or in a bad business you started, or maybe you invested in something and you lost all the money. And you are very discouraged. So these days you stick to savings and you have no idea what to do with those savings. You want something foolproof, something that you can invest money in and make a lot of money. Invest 100 bob and get another 100 bob very quickly and build up from there. Well, if you fall into any of these two categories, today is your day. Your life is going to change because you're going to discover some key things that are going to change everything. That sitting room of yours which is empty, no investments, no business, maybe even no savings, is going to start getting filled with sofas, and maybe a 51-inch TV set. You must see what you want first. So let's get started. Now, the first thing we need to understand is that there's a difference between savings, investments, and a business. And for you to successfully invest your first 100 shillings, you must understand this completely. Now, let's define everything so that we know what we're talking about. Savings is money that you've set aside. and it is in the bank, or it is under your mattress, or it is hidden somewhere. Yeah, all those are called savings. You don't touch them under any circumstances. Yeah. Well, some people believe you touch them when you have an emergency. Some people even believe in lending, their savings to people. Your friend has a problem, you take your savings and you lend that money to them. We'll come back to all that in a minute. Now, the other thing is investments. Now, investments are what this video is all about. Yeah, it is the reason why you came to watch this video. And what you want is that you want to invest in something. Maybe even think you can take a shortcut and avoid savings altogether and start with investments. Yeah. So you have 100 shillings in your pocket. You want Chris to tell you how to invest that 100 shillings and turn it into 200. Yeah. Or even into 1,000 within the shortest time possible. A car is not an investment. Let's get that out of the way early. A car is not an investment. It's a liability. An example of an investment is that you go and you buy a phone. A friend of yours is selling a phone very cheaply. You buy it at 5,000. You invest your 5,000, and then you sell it at 10,000, and you make 5,000 from investment. So that you started with 5,000 and you end up with 10,000. On the lower scale, or rather on the lower amount of money, you have 100 shillings. You buy some sukuma wiki from a nursery. You plant them. And after about a month or so, they grow and you sell. And you make 20,000 shillings from that small transaction. That's an investment. You invested 100, and within a month, you had made 20,000. Again, we'll come back to that in a minute. Okay? Now, the other thing is a business. Now, a business is not an investment. Now, I know many of you don't agree. Yes, you can invest in a business, but it's not an investment. A business is a very high-risk thing that many people have tried to get involved with, and they've burnt their fingers, they've burnt their hands, and lost money. That's my definition of a business. Yeah, so again, we'll come back to that. Now, let's start with the first rule about investments. And this is a very, very important rule. Okay? It'll change your life if you always stick to it. No matter how much money you make, no matter how attractive the business deal is, you stick to this rule. And that rule is very simple. The rule is never, ever invest something that you cannot afford to lose. That means you never invest your life savings. Never, ever. You can invest a small fraction of your savings. That's fine. Indeed, I recommend not more than 10% of your savings should be put in investments. You also don't take your entire salary and put it in investments. Never, ever. And certainly, you do not borrow to invest. Now, I know many people disagree with me there. Yeah. However, I'm giving you rules that will make your investments sustainable, that will make you successful as an investor. And I'm well aware of the fact that there are exceptions to the rule. There are people who have borrowed and invested and become very rich. In my view, that is gambling. Yes, when people gamble, there are some people who win. However, for you to be successful in investments, gambling should be very far as possible from your investments. Yeah, your investments are a serious thing. It's not gambling. And so based on this first rule, what must happen before you invest your first 100 shillings is that you must first have 1,000 shillings in your savings. So if you have 1,000 shillings in your savings, you can take out 10%, 100 shillings, to make your first investment. Gosh, how time flies. I see I've already spent quite a lot of time. No worries. In part 2 of this video, we'll go deeper into this. Yeah, we'll learn exactly how to invest. I'll give you ideas of where you can put your 100 shillings, and get a very good return, while sticking very closely to the rules of savings, the rules of investments, and the rules of business. And of course, the rules of your job, the money you earn from your job. Yeah, so don't miss that. I will see you there. This is Kshs, Kumekucha.